Hi, everybody. Hope everyone is having a pretty good night. Uh, I'm going to watch a recording of the game between the Bills and the Dolphins because I don't have Amazon Prime. Basically, I have Peacock, I have Paramount Plus, I have YouTube TV. Sometimes I carry Disney and ESPN Plus, but everything adds up. So yeah, I'm about to watch the game. I was listening on Westwood One, and all I can say is that the Bills are garbage. Oh yeah, straight up, I'm over 75% for the season. Straight up, and my six leg parlay builders hedging with multiple selections across different sports is working very well. I've been having big winning weeks so far. While there's college football and NFL and soccer all going on at the same time, so uh, they are working out very well. Just spreading out my risk. So um, many of my parlays had Bills money line instead of Bills spread. So with that being said, you spread out your risk if the spread doesn't hit. So the six leg parlay builders are doing really good so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing how some of these games play out. I feel the game's very high on my confidence scale. I think it's the Chiefs to win and the Chargers to win first and foremost. And I have no reason to believe that the Packers are going to lose. I think one of these two underdogs is going to hit. So Cincinnati's going to be on some six leg parlays. Tennessee will be on the other ones. If one out of two win, then that's all you need. Um, in college football, I think Baylor's got something after beating SMU, and I think without the coach from Michigan, the terrible offensive performance, and the Rayola under center, I think Nebraska has something going for them uh, against Michigan. I think I forgot to do that game for the college football video that I did, and then. With each college football selection, each NFL selection, each one has only one soccer game. So Arsenal, for a few of them, Atletico for some of them, Villa over Sunderland for some of them, Milan for some of them. I may want to build some more and add Stuttgart over St. Pauli, or I should edge with the Arsenal game. Maybe do a couple parlays here with just over 2.5 goals before it goes up to uh, 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 over 3.5. Yeah, because most bets are made before the game starts. So yeah, building the parlay builder, building my parlay builder right there. And with that being said, it was an annoying game. It's a short week. The Dolphins are very soft. I don't know how the Bills didn't destroy them. Okay, they had the missed field. I don't know if Josh Allen sold on the sack, so I have to find out if he did sell on that sack right there. That sack that pushed them back and they kicked the field goal and they missed. I have to see if Josh Allen sold on the sack. Now I know Jalen Hurts sold on his sack against the Cowboys. That instead of getting the first down, he purposely held on to the ball too long. So Jalen Hurts could allow the Cowboys to cover. Now with that being said, um, the Bengals presumably. Now, I believe they have a chance to stay in contention. And the future bets already placed on Cincinnati. They already had great value before. So who cares if Cincinnati doesn't win? They have great value. If Baltimore doesn't win, Cincinnati is going to win the Super Bowl. If Cincinnati's not going to win the Super Bowl, already at great value, the Baltimore Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. So I'll get into it right here. But basically, the Baltimore Ravens are winning the Super Bowl if the Bengals are not able to win it. The Ravens are your Super Bowl champion, and I make the case for two teams in the NFC based on the historic Super Bowl spreadsheet right here. So let's get into it, and let's go over all of the contingencies for Super Bowl 60 and Super Bowl 61. And so, without further ado, I'm about to record the video. If the Bengals don't win the Super Bowl and they truly are cooked according to the insiders, 60, 71 to win the Super Bowl, then basically the Ravens have already won the Super Bowl. And if you want to see how the Bills are the bait and they have almost zero chance of winning this year's Super Bowl, go to the end of the video. Because there's always one team that's the hook and bait and ladder every single year, it seems like, in recent memory. Super Bowl 57, everybody bet on the Bills. Nobody had the Chiefs. Super Bowl 58, the Ravens were the popular bait. They fell apart. Both years we correctly predicted the Chiefs to win every single playoff game. Last year, the Lions were the bait. The Eagles won the conference. The Lions and Chiefs were the two most bet on teams. Both failed to win the Super Bowl. With the Chiefs stuttering out of the field, it is going to be the Buffalo Bills that are the hook and bait sinking ladder this season. Lamar Jackson's going to win the Super Bowl. If it is not Joe Burrow and the Bengals, Lamar is gematria of 90 and 36. Santa Clara's gematria of 90. Same gematria as Lamar in the reverse cipher. What did Super Bowl 50 tell us about the number 90? It was a very, very big number for Super Bowl 50. Jonathan Stewart, the Panthers running back, equals 90. The Broncos running back, Anderson, aka CJ in parentheses, Anderson is gematria of 90. The Carolina Panthers is also gematria of 90. So that's why before I was looking at the Cincinnati Bengals gematria, and they have great value, and I'm sticking with them guys. It's either Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, one of them brothers, going to win the Super Bowl. But both Lamar has the 90 and the Bengals has the 90 too. The Vikings are not any good. The Colts are not going to make it to the Super Bowl. And the Cardinals, they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl. Those are the other 90s when we include the in 75 gematrias, because the equals 15. Minnesota Vikings is 90, but they're not any good. And now the Indianapolis Colts is 90. They not going to make it. Now Colts 90 equals winning the Super Bowl at Miami. And you notice how Miami's 36. And Miami, Florida is 36. Well, Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl for the Colts 36 years after Super Bowl 5, was what I found in my research. Sticking with Peyton Manning, it's Manning that is gematria of Santa Clara. He did win the Super Bowl at Santa Clara. Now, that's why the Lions are still my top choice. Jared Goff is from the Bay Area. He played at Cal Berkeley. Jared Goff has that Santa Clara gematria that I really like about him. He also grew up a 49ers fan, Jared Goff. So I do still like the Lions to win the Super Bowl. Now, the San Francisco Bay Area equals 91 in gematria. In Super Bowl 50, once the video is uploaded, you'll see the 91s that pop up for that particular gematria. The owner of the Broncos, Bolin is gematria of 91. Cam Newton equals 91. The San Francisco Bay Area equals 91. So we see it connect to the owner. We see it connect to Cam Newton's MVP caliber season. Detroit is 91 and Buccaneers equals 91. My top two choices to make it to the Super Bowl on the NFC side is the Lions and the Bucs. One of these two teams is going to win the NFC, the Buccaneers or the Lions, because in the past, 91 has been a number that has played out very well for Super Bowl 50. So that's why I like Bucs in Detroit. But the Super Bowl is on the 39th day of the year. The key 39s to stick out is not my Arizona Cardinals. Arizona equals 39. Mayfield is 39, and now the Lions is 39. So we have to connect these two teams to the day of the game on the 39th day of the game. The Bucs and the Lions are the two teams that stands out on the NFC side. Buffalo is the bait. Buffalo's Comanche of Santa Clara. They're the favorite. Notice how Santa Clara equals 90. That's the Comanche of Jackson. Jackson is 90. Santa Clara is 90. So is Cincinnati Bengals. But Buffalo Bills does not equal 90. Or I should say Lamar equals 90. Baker Mayfield equals 58. The Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 50 was number 58. The Bay Area in reverse equals 58. Huey P. Newton, Cam Newton, Black Panther Party, Carolina Panthers, Huey P. Newton equals 58. The Broncos won with 24 points in the game. Lions is 24. That's another big number, too. It's not just 76. It's not just 50. Continuing, 79 is a very, very big number for Super Bowl 50. Denver Broncos equals 79. Santa Clara, California, 79. So that did play out with the winner. Now the key 79s that I saw is Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 79. Now Tampa Bay 25 is Gematria of the Bay. Tampa Bay equals 79. Santa Clara, California equals 79. It's Ravens that equals 79. So if there's a 79 team that can make it, it would be the Ravens. It would be the Bucs if it's not the Detroit Lions. What's great about the Lions is that it is the San Francisco Bay Area is 176. That's your 176. That is going to be the Comanche, the Detroit Lions. Okay, the Detroit Lions is 193. The San Francisco Bay is 76. Detroit Lions 86 does equal Denver Broncos. Demarius Thomas in reverse is 86. The Bay Area is 56. So right here, the San Francisco Bay is 75. Now that's same exact gematria as Mayfield in ordinal gematria. This could be Baker Mayfield's year to make it to the Super Bowl. San Francisco Bay Area 76. That's your Detroit Lions gematria. The San Francisco Bay 75. What stands out is Mayfield. Could this be a revenge game against the Lions for Baker Mayfield? You never know. It doesn't stop with the references of the same references that we saw were the big hitters for Super Bowl 50. It doesn't stop there. There's also playoff records. This will kind of lead up to a big contingency for Super Bowl 60 and Super Bowl 61. So right there, Carolina Panthers was the key 75 that played out. So if we go off of 75, Carolina Panthers equals the city of Santa Clara, then we are looking at the gematria of Mayfield. Yes, that is what worked before. 79 and 75 are going to be very, very key numbers, and it connects to those two teams. 91 was a very big number that hit, so you cannot leave out Detroit. Manning I had same gematria as Jared Goff. Jared equals 38, same gematria as Panthers, who made it to the last Super Bowl over at the Bay Area, and Goff by itself is gematria of Ravens. Could Jared Goff go up against the Ravens in the Super Bowl, or could he go up against Tampa Bay? Jared Goff's gematria equals both of these teams. Goff played in Super Bowl 53 at Atlanta. Atlanta, same gematria as Tampa. Now, this would be your NFC Championship game matchup if it is possible. If people start going with the Eagles and they sleep in on Baker Mayfield and he leads the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks in the past few 4 seasons. And so we go to if the Bengals are not in the Super Bowl this year, then the Bills are going for 5-3 in the AFC title game, and they can make it to the Super Bowl at the Bay Area. Now, Bay Area is 53. The Panthers is also gematria 53. They made it to the Super Bowl at the Bay Area. Ultimately, at 53 is something to look out for. Also, Carolina in reverse is 53. I see in my sheet. So 53, we got to be careful with Buffalo. They could be 5-3 in the AFC Championship game if they make it to the Super Bowl this year, or they could easily make it next year at Los Angeles. Los Angeles is 53 too. It could be defending champions with the 5-3 record in the AFC Championship. There's always one team that has to be the hook and bait team. It has to be the Bills. Think about the Bills. Remember, Pagula can be a defending champion entering the year of Super Bowl 62. LA is 14. The Bills can be 1-4 in the Super Bowl next year because they're 0-4 right now. As far as the Ravens, they can make it to the Super Bowl for their 36th playoff game of all time. Cam Newton was in Super Bowl 50. Cam Newton's 36. Now Cam is 19. The two notable 19s. Jackson is 19. And I want to say Baker is also gematria of 19. First repeat in 19 years against the old San Francisco 49ers. Lamar is not going to be the number 1 seed. He can win the Ravens' 22nd playoff game at Levi's Stadium. Levi's is gematria of 22. Lamar can win the 22nd playoff game at Levi's Stadium. Lamar, his playoff record can be 7-5 by winning the Super Bowl at the city of Santa Clara. He could be 7-5 in the playoffs, Lamar, when it's all said and done, if he wins the Super Bowl at the Santa Clara. And plus, the Eagles won last year's Super Bowl. Eagles is 22. If Lamar knocks off the defending champion Eagles, the Eagles could fall to 2-4 like Joe Montana. His last title was in Super Bowl 24. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery. Another full-blooded black quarterback. 13 years after Super Bowl 47, the Ravens can win the Super Bowl. 12 seasons without a title, and Joe Flacco's 12, so they won 12 Super Bowls after Super Bowl 35, and they could go 12 full seasons without a title. The Bills are the bait. And again, he's going to win the Super Bowl. The key number for the Bills is 7. The 7th overall pick, the 7th straight AFC title, the AFC East title is when they win the Super Bowl. So they're going to win the 6th consecutive division title this year. If the Ravens win the AFC Championship game, the 3rd time's the charm over there After two playoff disappointments, Baltimore Ravens can improve to 3-3 in the AFC title game by beating Josh Allen. Josh Allen's 33. The Bills is also come out to 33. If it's Bills Ravens, Lamar is beating the Bills. And Buffalo is going to be 4-4, losing with Allen, and they'll go for 5-4 to make it to the Super Bowl at Inglewood, California. Inglewood, California, in abbreviations from Super Bowl 56 equals Cincy and Matt Stafford. So that 54 could be a very big number that hits for the Bills for next season because of 14 and Josh Allen, or I should say Joshua Allen 37 is Gamache of Los Angeles. Ultimately, that is what's going to cost the Bills. Next year's Super Bowl is on 9-day numerology. If the Bengals don't make it this year, they cook. The Bengals, they are cooked if the Bills win the Super Bowl this year. Because if the Bills win the Super Bowl this year, Lamar's never gonna win the Super Bowl. If the Bengals fail and the Ravens win the Super Bowl, then the Bengals are truly cooked and finished. What's their home record in the AFC title game for Buffalo? Let's see. 3-0 at home. I wonder what our Baltimore team's record in the AFC Championship game. And this would include the Baltimore Colts before they moved to Indianapolis. How many? The Baltimore Colts went 1-1 in the AFC title game. So Baltimore, the city, is 3-4 in the AFC title game. The city of Baltimore is going to be 4-4 in AFC titles, and Allen is the Gamache 44. Also, Allen in reverse equals 91 and 28, the Cam Newton numbers. So the Bills have the numbers, but ultimately, Los Angeles is the year for these guys. When I look at Buffalo equaling 27, the Super Bowl in year 27 just makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense. Year 27, Cincy's the Gematria, Buffalo's the Gematria. For the Buffalo Bills, the range is Super Bowl 60 and Super Bowl 61. But then what complicates the range is the fact that Pagula 62. So what if they defending champions entering the year Super Bowl 62? The Bills can't win Super Bowl 62. That year is planned for the LA Chargers. The Bills, they won in this year or next year. What if the Bills choke against the Ravens, the Chiefs make it back to the playoffs, and the Bills beat the Chiefs, and that's when they win the Super Bowl? Obviously, Baker is not going to be a number one seed. So Baker has to go 4 playoff games. If Baker makes it to the Super Bowl, his playoff record would be 5-3. 53, Los Angeles next year, Super Bowl 53's Bay Area. Again, that's Gematria Panthers. So Baker's got the numbers. He's got the numbers over Jalen Hurts this year. He already had a huge fourth quarter comeback against the Texans. What would Jared Goff's playoff record be? 7-5 to make it to the Super Bowl at the city of Santa Clara. And before, we've said the city of Santa Clara equals 75. So Goff would be 7-5. That's why Goff and the Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the top 2 teams to make it to Super Bowl 60 on the NFC side. It's got to be one of these two teams right there. If the Bucs don't make it this year, the Buccaneers will just make it next year. Is Baker 37? Los Angeles is 37. Now his middle name is Reagan. Baker Reagan Mayfield equals 67 and 86. Now the Bay Area is 86. The Bay Area 41 is Camacho, Baltimore. That's why Baltimore is the top choice if the Bengals are cooked. Baker Reagan Mayfield is 67, would be making it to the Super Bowl at the stadium of the Los Angeles Rams, where he did play a few games, Baker, before they got rid of him. And Baker played with the Panthers for a little bit. That's his connection to Carolina. Now, Baker Mayfield, 67 is Levi's Stadium. Levi's is 67. Now, Levi's 67, Peyton Manning. Peyton is Camacho 67. Peyton Manning also equaled 58 for that Super Bowl. What did I say equal 58? Cam Newton 58. So ultimately, the Bucs and the Lions are going to be the top two teams in contention. That's the Camacho for Todd Bowles. Could he make it to a Super Bowl over there? Bowles is the San Francisco Bay. Bowles is Bay Area. Bowles 22. Levi's. Could we see Ravens against Bucs in the Super Bowl? Divide and conquer agenda for the billionaire owners. Donate to the GOP. Divide and conquer the masses with racism. You have people humping the white quarterback before the Super Bowl. You got people over the black quarterback in the Super Bowl. This is a symbolic race war. We saw the white Bronco against the Black Panther in Super Bowl 50. So we could see a symbolic race war. Does this mean Lamar's in trouble? No, I don't think this means Lamar in trouble. I think what it boils down to the most is which jersey sells the most internationally. So obviously Tom Brady is the top jersey, and the other top jersey it's probably going to be Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. So NFL going to cater to the international fans when they decide who wins the Super Bowl this year. But in my comments on the Bucs is that the the Buccaneers held the pick for Josh Allen. And basically, as we speak about that 7 connection, that the Bucs traded the pick and they drafted him at number 7. Basically, the Bucs after Brady's 7th Super Bowl are going to make it to Super Bowl 61, 50. They're going to make it 6 years after Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. They got to hit. They have to hit it on the 6. The Bucs are at 25 playoff games. Could they get to 29? Enter at 28 in the Super Bowl. LA was 14. They could be sitting at 14 playoff losses. So overall, things are looking great for the Lions. This will mean the Lions are going to lose. Who knows if they'll okay. I mean, look at this. Lions is 24. They're at 24 playoff games. A 28th playoff game at Levi's. And basically, Newton equals 28. Pat Bowlen equaled 28. 49ers, the host, equals 28. Campbell's 28. They can make it to the Super Bowl for their 28th playoff game all time in franchise history. I gotta say, it's still gonna be the Lions, but the Buccaneers are making a convincing case right now. A comeback victory and a win, two comeback victories. Baker is the clutch quarterback of this year. Baker is someone you have to pay attention to. And plus, Baker was drafted by the Browns. It's Browns that's 91 and 28. The Newton Gamache from Super Bowl 50. Cleveland Browns is 61. He was drafted by Cleveland Baker. I talked about how the Rams, the host, they used to be based at Cleveland. So that's why Super Bowl 61 makes more sense for Baker. But Cleveland Browns 76 does equal the Bay Area Gamache 76. And it's worth noting that Jared Thomas Goff is he equals 76. He does. The Detroit Lions is 86. That's the 86 with the San Francisco Bay. Las Vegas is a racket. I think this will mean the Eagles are going to continue to win football games. We see where the numbers stack up for Buffalo, where the contingency lies for next year, where they could be 5-4 AFC Championship game, where they suffer a much more heartbreak this year. And they don't win until right as they move into the stadium because the ticket demand, lack of Super Bowl, new stadium, got to pay for the stadium, got to pay the financiers. Ticket demand is greater when Buffalo has not won the Super Bowl yet, and so they are gonna obviously take advantage of the ticket demand that would not really have come if they already have won the Super Bowl already. I gotta witness the year they do win the Super Bowl. I gotta get these tickets. So that's why they need the Bills to lose, and it's the bait for Las Vegas. Overall, you should have a very liberal-minded perspective on the Super Bowl this year. A few teams that are going to make it. You had 2-3-way with a couple of teams there, for example, like the Bengals and the Ravens for the Super Bowl. For the Cups, could do Ravens and Bills. You could do Lions and Bucks at such great payout right now. Brady equals 23. That's the big number right there. If the Bills do make it to the Super Bowl, it'd be their 46th playoff game in team history. If they do make it to the Super Bowl, Levi's Stadium is Gematria 46. 46 is also SoFi Stadium. If they do make it to the Super Bowl, it'd be their 23rd playoff win. If they lose the AFC title game, they remain at 22 wins, and 22 is pretty much Gematria SoFi for next year. And with that being said, we go to Josh Allen's playoff record. Seven and six. The San Francisco Bay equals 76. 8-6, 8-7. 8-7 would be the Bills starts equal 87. So that's where the potential lies for Josh Allen to fall to 8-7 in the playoffs. 17 always made sense. it's obvious the Bills are not going to be a number two seed. So if the Bills would, if they were to have not gotten the number one seed, Super Bowl 60 would be Josh Allen's 17th playoff game, and he's number 17. So the guy, they basically, I could see 15 playoff games. I can see another number one seed next year. Basically, and I'm ending the video at this. Got you, John Harbaugh. Obviously, John Harbaugh, 39 equals the 39th day of the year. So one more thing. Josh Allen, 15 games. If he loses the AFC title, number one seed again. They win both games at the Highmark Stadium. Josh Allen enters the Super Bowl with 17 playoff games previous, entering Super Bowl 61, and Bills equals that 18th playoff game for Josh Allen. But again, the biggest connection for Buffalo is the Freemasons. You can't forget about the Freemasons. The only team that plays in the state of New York. Super Bowl's on the 39th day this year. New York is 39, but also 33 years after Super Bowl 28 as they win the Super Bowl. So that's Super Bowl 61. And Josh Allen's 33, the Bills equals 33. So we can't ignore the Masons in 33. The Freemasons rule at the end of the world. Freemasons are looking and baiting the masses. I warned you against Buffalo in Super Bowl 57. I warned you against the Ravens in Super Bowl 58. I warned you about all of this. I should have ignored the Lions last year. That was a mistake. How many playoff games after their last Super Bowl appearance would they make it back? That requires a little bit more digging. John Harbaugh. We touched up on Lamar's playoff record. We touched up on the Ravens' playoff record. Louisville Cardinals is 36. It could be the Ravens' 36th playoff game. 24 previous playoff games. If Harbaugh wins the championship, he is a 4-7 playoff record since winning the Super Bowl. A lot of losing. That's Super Bowl 47, his last victory in Super Bowl 47. And this would mean his 17th playoff win would be to win the Super Bowl at the Bay. Cam is gematria of 17. I'm not sure what 17, or the other thing with 17 is 28th playoff game of his career. And again, Newton is 28, 49ers 28, Super Bowl on 2-8. All the key 28s. Allen has the 91-28, so does the Buccaneers has the 91. Detroit has the 91. Campbell has the 28. There too many people are betting on the Lions and the Bills. There's a very compelling case for Josh Allen to beat the Bucs in Super Bowl 61. If the Bengals are really priced at 60-1, that they ain't got no chance, they too much money. Oh my God, they're not in the money. And then it's time to move on to the Ravens. And never say never. The Bucks and the Lions, the AFC. This is the NFL after all. And Baker, as red hot as he is, the Lions obliterate the Chicago Bears. They're capable of turning up any week. They stay healthy this year. That's why it's the NFL. The Eagles are no automatic whatsoever. Eagles Ravens is a great Super Bowl. But the NFL has owners like the Maris and the Rudies and the Pitbulls who own illegal horse track rinks, um, gambling syndicates ran by NFL owners. This is where they got their money before they owned NFL teams. They were involved in bootlicking during the prohibition of alcohol. So this is why we've seen the NFL historically. They manipulate and hook and bait the masses, and basically the Bills are going to have to wait another year. And the Eagles are no automatic, and people are ready to trash Lamar's playoff record. They can't win at Buffalo. It's too much. Well, the Ravens went on the road in the AFC Championship game at the Raiders. Fuck that shit. And they won at New England too. So Ravens have a history of winning on the road in the AFC Championship game. That's literally the only way they make it to the Super Bowl is on the road. The Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are, if the Ravens win on the road, it's 5 road AFC Championship games and 3 wins. 53 is Bay Area. So when we look at 53, it's no automatic based off of the Bills' overall AFC Championship game record. We got to look at the Bills' record on the road in the AFC Championship game. And my conclusion is that basically, objectively, the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. It's no automatic that the Lions going to make it this year, but I think the Lions stand out more. I just think that the Buccaneers, as great as they are going to have a great chance to make it to the Super Bowl this year. And but in my view, and as far as Mike Evans, number 13, LA's 13, then the Bucks fall short this year, what have you. That's a team that's going to make it next year. I mean, this team is here to stay, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just not going to, their window is shut after this year. As long as Baker is there, they are going to be in the playoffs every year in a weak division with the garbage Saints and Panthers and a Falcons team that is like, oh, they talented, but they just don't wow you, basically. Here are the Chiefs, 5-3. Bay Area's 53. They're going to remain at 5-3. The Kansas City Chiefs. They're not going to make it to the AFC Championship game. They're going to remain at 5-3 because Los Angeles equals 53. Oh yeah, and the Bengals and Burrow make it back next year at the Burrow's house that he built his sofa. He's going to return to the Super Bowl. The only hope for him is that next year's Super Bowl is on 9-day numerology. 2 is 2, 14 is 5, and 2027 is next year's Super Bowl, Super Bowl 61. Now, I don't think I said this before. The 45th day of the year, Bucks is 45. 45 is Buffalo Bills as well. Play in the Super Bowl on the 45th day. Buffalo Bills 72 does equal Santa Clara, but I think it's hook and bait coding because there has to be a favorite in a hook and bait team. And like I said about the component of ticket demand and no previous Super Bowl adds more value to the ticket demand, it's got to be next year. 18-9 day numerology, February 14th. If Burrow doesn't play or win a playoff game, he's going for a ninth playoff win. I guess never say never for the Bengals, but it's not looking good for the Bengals. If you are a Bengals fan, you better hope the Bills win the Super Bowl this year. If you're a Bengals fan and you don't win the Super Bowl and the Bills win the Super Bowl this year, you have a chance for next year. But if the Bills don't win the Super Bowl and you're not in contention and the Ravens win the Super Bowl, then sorry, you guys are cooked and Mike Brown and this team is a big utter joke. And y'all team is cursed until you get rid of Mike Brown. Y'all team is cursed, Dallas Cowboys, until you get rid of Jared Jones. You guys are terrible owners. You guys don't provide a good facility. You guys don't provide the safety for the team, the offensive line, this and that. You guys, they don't reward your failure. And this adds more pain to Cleveland. And this should never ever ignore the possibility of a Ravens Bucks Super Bowl because, Baker, he was drafted by Cleveland. Where did the Ravens come from? Cleveland. What if a Cleveland team is defending the title, entering the year of a Super Bowl hosted by the Rams, who originally were based at Cleveland? So that riddle is where it lies very strongly for the Baltimore Ravens to prevail over uh, the that team over there, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, 48, in my history of studying the history of the Super Bowl, the Rams won their first title 48 years after 1951 in the 1999-2000 season. That's the 48 that resonates with Josh Allen's gematria. Allen equals 17, and en route to beating Josh Allen, John Harbaugh could make it and win the Super Bowl for his 17th playoff win. Do they really want his brother winning two Super Bowls before he wins his first? Jim Harbaugh? Interesting angle, obviously. If his brother wins two Super Bowls, or they want these guys each retiring with a Super Bowl each? Peyton has two and Eli has two. What's going to happen with the two brother Harbaugh coaches? That is another good question right there. But yeah, the Lions are truly cooked if they don't make it this year. It's been 68 years since they won the championship, so the Lions got to be in the Super Bowl. The American is a Cinderella darling team, and the Lions are that team. Obviously, the Bucks have made it Super Bowl 55, but the Eagles have the flair factor with the Eagles, Ravens, and the mob against Jalen Hurts. Eagles is 22. The Ravens 22nd playoff win in the history could happen against the Eagles. Never say never for Philadelphia. They in the top three. The Baker's got the good coding for this particular Super Bowl. Hurts has Louisiana coding. He doesn't have Bay Area coding. Hurts is Gematria Bay Area. Hurts is 86. The Bay Area is 86. Defending a title before the Bay Area because in Jalen Hurts is Gematria Hurts is 323. The previous Super Bowl was at Las Vegas before Jalen Hurts won the following year's Super Bowl. Let's take in the Sirianni's playoff record. Best coach. 6-3. Could he get to 8-3 like New Orleans, Louisiana? Or Independence Day is on July the 4th. If he loses the NFC Championship game, he could fall to 7-4. Nick Sirianni. That's a big, big number to the Freemasons. 74, as well as the Hebrews with the G-D, the seventh letter, the fourth letter, yada, 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 all that stuff. And basically, I see this team losing 29 playoff wins. If they go for their 32nd playoff win, it's Denver, that's 32, and Broncos, that's 32. But when I look at 27, their 27th playoff loss. This year's game is at Santa Clara, so a different representative on the NFC side. And Sirianni's playoff record should be the same as Jalen Hurts. And the Eagles are going to be hosting the AFC, NFC championship game. So we can't ignore the NFC championship game page. Tampa Bay's 2-2. They could go for 3-2 like Broncos. 5 NFC title games, 3 wins like Bay Area. So again, their coding is all over the place. Detroit, they could go for that 1 win in 3 appearances like LA next year's appearance. They'll have to be on the road, I guess. Or if the Eagles lose in the divisional round, Lions can host a game. Who knows? Green Bay going for 4-6. Levi Stadium is 46. So ultimately, Green Bay is going to be in the conversation. If they're 2-2 in the NFC Chips game, Levi's is 22. Eagles could fall to 5-5 like 49ers. If the Eagles are in the NFC Chips game, they're gonna lose. They fall to 5-3 like Bay Area. So the Eagles, they are truly cooked. In my mind, the Eagles are truly cooked. If the Eagles are playing the Bucks, they have a 5-2 home record in the NFC Championship game. Tampa Bay is 52. Tampa Bay Buccaneers is 52. Buccaneers by itself, the Buccaneers is 52. Goff's only Super Bowl appearance came with the Los Angeles Rams, so they have that 52. The Gematria. Could a 10th NFC Championship game appearance for the Eagles occur against Dan Campbell? It's Dan that's Gematria 10. Especially if Lions lose at Philadelphia in November, but they find a way to make it to Philadelphia. You notice the numbers just ooze amongst the top contenders in the conference through the 39th day of the year. Harbaugh's 39, LaFleur, Matt Here's 39. Bucks don't make sense until Los Angeles. Los Angeles 37 is Gematria Baker. Ultimately, there is some shock value for the Lions to win on the road in the postseason and to shock the world. And ultimate grinding Lion fashion, these guys got a chance. Detroit Lions. The Packers have a chance, though. They do. This video ain't complete until we get the analysis on every angle with all the potential teams that can make it. 7-5, Santa Clara, same Lamar coding with the Packers. I think the Packers are a Freemason hook and bait team. They've got that Freemasonic G. They lost every year in the playoffs with Rodgers. I think the white supremacist angle is they can't have this half-black quarterback suddenly win the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl early on in his career. Then he didn't do nothing the rest of his career. Will the Packers championship happen before or after Aaron Rodgers retires? I think it's Daniel that equals 45 and Goff equals 45. So we'll probably enter the Lions playoff game with the 4-5 record. They could fall to 4-6 like Michigan. If the Lions play the Packers in the playoffs, the Lions gotta knock them the fuck out of the playoffs. Jordan Love, Bakersfield, California has got that connection. 26 years of age. Bay Area is 26 in Gematria. The actual Super Bowl victory for Jordan Love isn't going to happen until like the 10 years after his first playoff win. 14 years after Bart Starr died, the Packers win their 14th championship. So that's how we ignore the hook and bait. Hook and bait. Hook and bait. They never ever said this was supposed to be easy. Did they say it was never ever supposed to be this easy? 1-2 the playoffs, will hit the 2-2 like Levi's. Maybe 5 playoff games and 3 wins and make it to the NFC championship game. Green Bay is also Gematria Baltimore. And you don't have Dan Campbell be this good and suddenly the Packers, they're the team that won the Super Bowl. No. The Seattle Seahawks never won the Super Bowl. They didn't just suddenly see the 49ers win another Super Bowl. No, the Seahawks got the euphoria of winning their first Super Bowl title. So this is how I approach the Detroit Lions. Is they got to do it when everybody don't expect them to do it, to win the NFC. The Lions are the Seahawks and Carroll. The Packers are Jim Krybaugh and the 49ers back in the day. They are the hook and bait team for now. Dan Campbell leaves, Jared Goff is washed up. That's when the Packers win the Super Bowl. Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm giving Lamar Jackson his last chance to win the Super Bowl if Joe Burrow has not been chosen to come back and win, a la JD Vance taking over as president. And I've been recording for 57 minutes and I have no clue what has been said in the comments. So I'm going to read the comments right now. And now David Benz is just a troll and they're too retarded to understand Gematria because Gematria makes perfect sense if you understand what the numbers say as far as not the ultimate script, but narratives lying on each side. And I do believe Burrow comes back. But ultimately, if they're 60, 70 to 1, then they must know something that he's not able to come back. But I like Browning. They're going to win. I don't give a damn because the bets have already been placed on the multi-future parlay with Cincinnati. So I'm just ready to hedge on the Baltimore Ravens, and I win either way. So what do I care? I don't care about the Bengals out of the playoffs. That's about the 23, the 2 titles and 3 playoff appearances for the Lincoln. Yeah, I'm not been hyping up them Lincoln. Tyreek Hill's going to be traded at some point. The Dolphins are going to get some trading assets. Now, when I look at the first pick in the draft, Carson Beck in Miami, John Beck was their quarterback when they went 1-15. I'm not sure who they took with the number 1 overall pick. Who did they take with the number 1 overall pick in 2008? But I like John Beck. No, he was the 1-15. He was the 1-15 quarterback, John Beck. That's why I like Carson Beck to be drafted by the Dolphins. And maybe the Dolphins lose against the Jets for 3 straight losses against division opponents. Oh, they took an offensive tackle, Jake Long. That's right. I remember now. They took Jake Long. That's right. But the Dolphins are going to get the number one overall pick. They must move on from Tua. This is their only avenue right now is to land Carson Beck at all costs. I already did the video on it. I expect Miami to continue losing games. The Jets almost beat the Steelers. The guy who fumbled got cut. The Jets coach is sending a message that accountability is going to be preached. The Todd Bowles used to coach the Jets, so the script is going to go the Bucs' way on Sunday. Bowles gets a win against his former team. But if there's a team that the Jets can beat, it's the Dolphins because they find ways to lose football games. Like today, they could have got the ball back, but what happened? It was a run into the kicker. They didn't show up last week. Last week, their defense was soft, and ultimately, Tua had to check down on the flat that was open. He threw a boneheaded pick. Tua's selling these games. Is he really this garbage with these late game interceptions, or is this guy selling the games? Is he really out there selling? His interception last week, it looked like he sold. Now, this game tonight, I'm about to watch the game tonight because, again, I don't have Amazon Prime. I've got all the other packages. I've got YouTube TV. I've got Paramount Plus. I've got Peacock. But the Bills are garbage. How do you not beat a depleted team like that by over 11 points? Bills are garbage. But I know better. And that's why my little parlay matrix, I did my line for this game and I did spread on this game. So that's why. But again, kicker missed field goal. Josh Allen sold, take that stupid sack that pushed him back. They missed the field goal. Stupid third and long conversions from Miami. So, yeah, it's a little frustrating that Buffalo didn't win by more. And Josh Allen selling the game with those 3 and outs. Now, turf toe is a real injury. This guy is not going to be back until December. I still back the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, but the odds are it ain't looking too good. So that's where the Ravens are coming to the play. The Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl, and look, he's full-blooded black guy, Jalen Hurts. So now the spell has ended. They're allowing full-blooded black men to win Super Bowls. Not Super Bowls yet, but they allowed a black quarterback to win the Super Bowl last year. I was right. A full-blooded black man win the Super Bowl. Doug Williams, born at Louisiana. I picked Ravens at the start of the year. It was clear it wasn't going to be Ravens and the Chiefs were going to be making it back to the Super Bowl. I should have jumped to the conclusion that Jalen Hurts was going to win the Super Bowl. So my conventional wisdom at the start was correct that a black quarterback was going to win last year's Super Bowl. I was paying attention to the Trump in 47, the red hat in Kansas City. We're reaching there a little bit. But he was rooting for Kansas City in the Super Bowl, and he left at halftime, and he came out the big loser, Donald Trump, in the Super Bowl. Remember, it was all about Kansas City. And then he made it out that, Taylor Swift is a loser. He didn't act like, he's acting like he wasn't, Patrick Mahomes, a great quarterback, this and that. Who is it? Brittany Mahomes loves me so much, and Mahomes are the world's greatest quarterback and family ever. That's basically what he said before that Super Bowl. It's an hour-long video. Hour-long videos can be drags, but it's worth it for key educational purposes. Number one, which teams have got the numbers? Number two, I let you reach your own conclusion. Here's what stacks up for Buffalo. I told you about Allen 91-28, Newton 98-21 in Super Bowl 50. I told you about City of Santa Clara 75. Lamar could be 75 in the playoffs if he wins the Super Bowl. I told you that Baker equals 75 and 39 Super Bowl and 39th day of the year. Tampa Bay 79, Ravens 79, the Denver Broncos 79, Santa Clara, California 79. Levi Stadium 46, Green Bay could be 4-6 in NFC Championship game if they do win. But the guy, Jared Goff, is from the Bay Area, and too much money was on the Lions last year. But you can't write these guys off. Ultimately, for Green Bay, they do have the support and the numbers to make it. Baker and Goff is a California kid. So is Jordan Love. And the Cleveland Riddles don't stop with Baker. There's that connection. If Baltimore is in the Super Bowl, then there's a connection with the Rams, who he played with briefly. Because they used to play in Cleveland, the LA Rams, before they moved to LA. And Bo's Gematria so far. And again, you can conclude that too much money gonna be bet on the Buffalo Bills over the Lions, the Lions over the Bills. But the seventh pick of the draft drafted Josh Allen. That pick was held by Tampa Bay. So what if the Bills beat the Bucks in the Super Bowl? Baker with the most fourth quarter comebacks. This guy has to make Cleveland look foolish at some point. At the least, he has to make it to a Super Bowl. Again, Belichick leaves Cleveland. He wins 6 Super Bowls. The old Browns failed to win at Cleveland. The old Browns became today's Baltimore Ravens. They kept the players on the old Browns roster. They won 2 Super Bowls. So at some point, Baker has to make it to a Super Bowl to make Cleveland look bad. Generally, they go on to win the Super Bowl. And you're a Cleveland Browns fan. You want to make it to the Super Bowl. You've never been to a Super Bowl before. And you get rid of this guy in a contract year. Everybody knows he's not producing because he's playing injured. And suddenly he finds the right team. He doesn't get fucked over playing in Carolina, right? Because that team is garbage, even to this current second. Another bad season for Carolina. No support around the quarterback. Organizational dysfunction. Baker's got the support in Tampa Bay. Good general manager, Jason Lynch. A good defensive-minded coach, Todd Bowles. Mike Evans catching the ball from him. Bruce Arians as a consultant to the team. The Bucks are more of a stable organization. But Baker is 37. Los Angeles is 37. Detroit's 37. Los Angeles 37. And if the Lions lose the Super Bowl, their playoff record is going to fall to 5-3, like Bay Area. Of course, I'm keeping a close watch on that Monday Night Football game. What if the Lions win that game? Are we talking about the regular season matchup in the Super Bowl? Are they really going to give John two Super Bowls before they give Jim Harbaugh a Super Bowl? If the Ravens win the Super Bowl, then it's obvious they're not going to leave Jim Harbaugh out to dry like this. If the Ravens win the Super Bowl, they make it even more obvious that the Chargers are going to win. That they're not going to leave Jim with zero Super Bowls, not a chance. It's just a matter of, are they going to have the brothers each win a Super Bowl, or are they going to give John two? They'll give Jim one. I think I gotta do the Google search here. I think on the top international quarterbacks, Detroit Lions is 61 and lost Super Bowl 61 is the Camacho, the Detroit Lions. Goff played quarterback with the Rams. He's from the Bay Area, so it's a little complicated angle, a little bit. At least before guys leaving free agency, this is the year that makes sense for the Lions to. Um, it's a now or never type of season. I think ultimately for Detroit, especially if the Bucks fail to make it this year, this feels like it's a now or never season for Detroit. Top selling NFL international jerseys. The only way to expand now is internationally. So again, the NBA is heavily invested in international players, and I think the NFL is going to want to maximize the ratings around the world. Yeah, the top selling jerseys in the United Kingdom. It's most fans outside the U.S. are from the UK. So there are some articles. Three of the top 10 were Kansas City players, and that's not a surprise. They made it to five out of the last six Super Bowls. Jordan Love came in at number two, actually, so that's very interesting. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson was a top five selling jersey internationally. Jordan Love came in at number two because the Green Bay Packers are among the winningest teams in the history of the NFL. So most fans are in the UK, but obviously Bills are going to be in the Super Bowl. Which year is it going to be? Josh Allen's in the top five selling jerseys in the UK. Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. So this is who we looking at for the most the range is the next two seasons, this year and next year. That's the range, because there's some contingencies for next year that depend on who's going to make it in this year's Super Bowl. Joe Montana, Joe Flacco, Joe's 30. Ravens can be 3-0 in the Super Bowl. They can be 3 for 3 in the Super Bowl. At Cleveland is 33. That's kind of the strong Cleveland coding for the Ravens. You have your Black Panther, Cam Newton, black quarterback. This dude, Cam Newton, obviously is a black man. I don't think there's something else that's missing from Buffalo. And again, that the point makes sense now. We have ourselves a fight for the number one seed between the Chargers and the Bills. Who's going to be the number one seed? Because of Buffalo's win today, the Chargers have to keep things interesting. I think the Chargers have to win the game against the Broncos, because which team is going to finish number one in the conference? The Bills, who still have to play Kansas City, or the Chargers, who already beat Kansas City, and get another win in the AFC by, and then they play the Giants the next week too. So Chargers, they're going to be pursuing the Buffalo Bills for the number one seed. Kansas City Chiefs were in the conversation for the number one seed last year. That team is the LA Chargers. The NBA, not the NBA. The NFL is building up the LA Rams Super Bowl 62 victory. I'm a fan of Harbaugh. I'm a fan of the Chargers. I said over a year ago when he became the coach that he's going to win Super Bowl 62. The Chargers' quick start only further supports my sentiments that Jim Harbaugh is going to have a physical team everywhere he goes. And I think the 49ers were more talented when he joined San Francisco than were the Chargers when he joined the Chargers. But they play very physical. They run the ball. Herbert is better than Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. Jim Harbaugh has a much better quarterback than he had in San Francisco. As far as your Bruiser, the Frank Gore, um, they're Greg Roman likes to run the ball. That's why they got Najee Harris. I think they drafted another running back. They've added more wide receivers. Keenan Allen, longtime member of the team. Veteran support, the white guy from the University of Georgia. His name is not resonating right now. Khalil Mack is still there, so, and some of these guys that are not superstars, they fill in their niche and they produce very, very, very well. They've had some good situational linebackers, like Dan Scudiff, for example, Chris Borland for a season in San Francisco. Um, they still like to line up in jumbo packages. So the Chargers are going to be a very hard team to beat just because Jim Harbaugh always preaches physicality. He's a maniac, and he's going to let you know if you're losing concentration, if you're not physical enough. I mean, it's a mentality type of thing that separates you from the soft teams like Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins and the Jim Harbaughs out there that just want to play bully football. The Chargers, they play bully football. They could easily beat the Chiefs last year at the Arrowhead last year. But after what the NFL did to the 49ers during the early 2010s, I don't think there's a chance that they don't give this guy the Super Bowl. But what's Mike McDaniel's record against teams above 500? You should. I think if you want to get the number one pick, you keep Mike McDaniel for the rest of the season. He's your best shot to get the number one pick. Now, I haven't really dabbed a lot during the past few years, but I love them G pens. I like letting that baby rip, firing up the pen, cooking the hash oil. But dude, you were in a press conference, motherfucker. You gotta present your organization a little better, buddy. I mean, this dude goes to this press conference is completely fried. Like, bro, apparently went to rehab. He was drinking lots of alcohol, and Gary Kubiak fired him. He's just substituting the alcohol with the vape pen, with the dab pen. That's what separates the best and the worst. Now, I'm paying attention to the 57 code, Padres' 57th season. So there's a year to roll with Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado. This is the season. They played three times in the playoffs this decade, the Padres and the Dodgers. Mason Miller is a freak. Adam got injured, but that's why they made the scripted trade at the trade deadline because Mason Miller is better than Adam, who's out for the season, the Padres' top reliever. But Mason Miller is a freak. He can throw 103 miles per hour. This guy is gas, I swear. Padres have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. The Padres can shock the world. They've got some pop in the lineup. The two guys from the Baltimore Orioles, Leonardo and O'Hearn, but they already had Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis. Oh yeah, if they only lost, they pushed the Dodgers to a rubber match in the playoffs. Padres absolutely can win. The Dodgers are not. They're not winning 100 games or anything. They're showing moments of vulnerability. You don't have a league if the Dodgers win every season. You can't have them win every season. You have to have them lose sometime. You don't no longer have a league if they win every year. They can't win every year. That's bad for Las Vegas. They can't win the championship. They're not allowed to win the championship. They must lose before the World Series this year. Mets look like nobodies. They're not going to be in the World Series this year. I don't know what the hell happened to that team. I hope they missed the playoffs. I haven't been paying attention to the Brewers over the past couple of months. I don't know how the Brewers are doing. But if Milwaukee plays the Padres going to beat them. I look at the Friar Franciscans. I'm looking at the death of the Pope in San Diego. The Padres, the Fathers. I think he's not. I don't think he's a Franciscan, Pope Francis. He may have been influenced by the Franciscan friars, but I don't think Francis is a Franciscan. I don't know what he is exactly. I don't think he's a Franciscan. He may be influenced by Franciscans. That's why he named himself Francis. But I don't think he belongs to the Franciscan school, I think. So, but the symbolism lies with them. The manager, Mike Schultz, came over from the St. Louis Cardinals. The very first team that they played since the trade deadline was the St. Louis Padres. So, yeah, I do like the San Diego Padres. Man, was this a Las Vegas call or what? How do the Bills not win this game by 15-20? I find it very hard to believe. What the divisional game? I don't care if it's a divisional game. This team is 0-2. Their coach is out of his goddamn mind. To win the game, you have to win the game. What the hell is he talking about? You're down how are they down 33-0, 27-0 against the Colts? How do you lose against a team like that? The Bills are garbage and they're not gonna win no Super Bowl this year. You got losers, you won't win until next year. Every I keep saying your team is gonna choke, and every time you never let me down. The Chiefs not gonna be in the playoff. You're not going to win the Super Bowl until you have to go to Kansas City. You bums. Buffalo Bills bums. I had you guys losing, so y'all didn't piss me off in the playoffs. But tonight, y'all pissed me off. You at home on a Thursday game. You're terrible. You guys are awful. You say it in yourself. And Lamar's gonna beat them bums. I guarantee it. 49ers last regular season game at Candlestick, they failed to win the Super Bowl that season. They lost the Super Bowl the last year at Candlestick. The Falcons last year at the Georgia Dome, if I remember, they lost against the Patriots, I think. They failed to win in the last year of their stadiums. So from that recent historical perspective, it's just not looking like the Bills are going to win in the last year of their stadium. They're going to have more heartbreak. They're going to leave behind painful memories with good memories of winning the Super Bowl. Now, on the confidence scale, because of the home Super Bowl factor, I'm more confident the Chargers win Super Bowl 62 than downright guaranteeing that the Bills are going to win Super Bowl 61. But I guarantee that when Jim Harbaugh wins the motherfucking championship, they're going to knock off Lamar Jackson in the Ravens. Jim Harbaugh's going to win a playoff game against his brother. They met in the Super Bowl. They're going to motherfucking meet again in the playoffs. And Jim Harbaugh's going to punch his brother in the teeth. The younger brother punches older brother straight in the motherfucking teeth. And that's what he's going to do to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Lamar's going to have a terrible, terrible game against the LA Chargers. That's the best scripted storyline for the future. Jim Harbaugh beating John and the Ravens. What if that's the AFC Championship game? The NFL's a scripted fugazi. If Jim Harbaugh defeats y'all in the AFC Championship game. I hope Chargers beat the Ravens in the AFC Championship game and they beat them to make it to Super Bowl 62. Those were the days, baby. Harbaugh, the 49ers lose the Super Bowl. Those were the days. I always like the Ravens because it was boring. Peyton Manning and the Steelers and the Patriots were in the Super Bowl every year. Basically, what was the streak? No team outside of the Patriots and the Colts and the Steelers have won the AFC for well over a decade. It was like 10 years, I think. Well, yep, those Ravens were fun to watch. They had great defense. They had Joe Flacco slinging it. They had my guy Anquan Bolden win the Super Bowl and scoring in the end zone against the 49ers. First touchdown of the Super Bowl, and those were the days. Joe Flacco, Etal, Joe Flacco, Joe Montana, both Italian, boom. Joe Flacco had like 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. It's one of my favorite championships. I don't know about Ray Lewis preaching the gospel and praising God every game or whatever, but a lot of people hated the Ravens. They wanted to see them lose, so people were emotional to hope that Ray Lewis loses. The NFL played the fans there. They Ray Lewis some money or this and that, blah blah. Yeah, Terrell Suggs went to ASU too. Terrell Suggs. T-Sizzle. You guys are awful, Buffalo. You guys are terrible. Jim Harbaugh's a better coach than McDoofus, McDermott, whatever the hell he is. Would we be overthinking it if we go for the Bills to win next year? What season is this of the Bills? What season is this of the Bills? It's gonna feel like the LA Rams. Oh, it's rigged because Super Bowl's in their stadium. Well, it's the first year the Highmark Stadium. Oh, sucks. They not winning no Super Bowl this year. Okay. Levi's is closer to Firebaugh, California than Los Angeles. But then I see the coding for Josh Allen. He's got Los Angeles coding. So apparently the 66-year anniversary of the Bills is October of this year. October 28 would mark 66 years of the Bills' existence. And this is why the Bills can't win the Super Bowl this year. Well, it is their 66 season overall title is 66, but it's only there's 56 season in the NFL. The Bills' 57th season in the NFL. Next year is the championship number. Terrence Michael Pagula. Terrence Pagula equals Santa Clara Camacho there. How many months from Tom Brady's Super Bowl victory? It may have to go 72 months. When did the Browns cut Baker Mayfield? Baker is number 6 for a reason because the Illuminati runs the National Football League. He's going to make it to the Super Bowl 6 years after Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. So the Illuminati has already decided that the Bucks are going to make it to Super Bowl 61 against Baker and the Bills. They've already decided who is in Super Bowl 60. They've already decided who is in Super Bowl 61. They've already decided who is in Super Bowl 62. The Illuminati screwed Jim Harbaugh. Super Bowls 46, 7, and 48. Illuminati is going to give one back to Jim Harbaugh. The Illuminati is going to give one back to Jim Harbaugh. That is not a conspiracy theory. And I'm telling you, y'all been, oh, the Chargers are not going to do anything because Herbert threw 4 picks in the playoff game. The NFL's rigged that way, so you think the Chargers are never going to win. Then they start out the season 3-0 after they whipped the Denver Donkeys' ass this week. And they beat the hapless New York Giants next week, and they probably do lose against Washington. Who knows if they lose against Washington or not? I have to look into Daniel's coding. But the Chargers are going to be winning a rigged Super Bowl, and I believe they are going to do so 6 years after the Rams did in Super Bowl 56. Atlanta is hosting Super Bowl 62. Atlanta's 15. It'd be 15 years after Jim Harbaugh lost Super Bowl 47. LA Chargers is 47. That is the plan. To try to build a fan base, even though after they win the Super Bowl, there'd be um, fickle. I've got better things to do in LA than to support a team that's 500, right? Now, these are not diehard fans like in the Midwest or in the Middle East. I mean, this is just a bunch of fags who would rather go out to the beach or whatever and then go see a game. So even though they try to build the Rams fan base, it's not working because 49ers are still, it's a sea of red every time the Niners play the Rams over there at SoFi. They're bandwagoners unless if the Rams are the number one seed or whatever. They really don't care about that Rams team. How much does NFL care about having Rams fans still interested in their team? That's what makes the Rams an upset uh, possibility over the Eagles. I could see a world where they get bandwagon, faggot, delusional Lambs fans who think they're to win the Super Bowl. So I would not be surprised to see the Rams beat the Eagles this week. I wouldn't be surprised at all. My plan with the multi parlay future bets involving the Bengals, I'm going to do the same exact thing on Monday with the Ravens before the Monday Night Football kickoff. That way, you still win. When the Bengals are out and you go with number two and you win, ba boom, kaboom. It ain't about being right in your first option, right? It's about winning, period. Spread out the risk and diversify your portfolio. Everybody learns this in investment 101 is diversify the portfolio. Spread out the risk. Don't put all the eggs in the same basket, whatever the saying goes, right? That's what it is. Okay. You got some strong numbers for the Bucks and the Lions. You go for either team, or you have your third team in there, the Green Bay Packers, the hometown connection, whatever. I don't know how a three-way hedge would work as far as the profit goes. Really, you need a two-way hedge either way for the Super Bowl, for the AFC, for the NFC. Two-way hedge. You're just gonna break even, I think, if you go with a three-way hedge. I think, but too much money on the Packers. I tell you, Las Vegas is they will not have them win the Super Bowl. What are the notable psyops? Burrow wins the title at the Superdome. They failed to even make it to Super Bowl 59. What are the other psyops involved out there that we can think about? Oh, Steve Young won a Super Bowl, whatever. What the hell were these faggots talking about before Super Bowl 54? The people who predicted the freaking 49ers to the team that passed on Patrick Mahomes to beat Patrick Mahomes. Lots of people were on the 49ers to win Super Bowl 54 and Super Bowl 58. Not once did I pick that team that passed on Big Daddy Patty to beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. You down to two teams and you picking the 49ers. But his dad won the Super Bowl and the Denver Broncos is going to get one. How much should have had for the coach? He won the Super Bowl. The Broncos, the coach should have had. He got to win. Oops. That's a psyop. Oops. It's a fugazi. Oops. Fell for the bait. Make that about it. Repeat. Last repeat, top point. Next one. Pat, Big Daddy Patty. It's called get hooked and baited right there. Which other hook and bait ladder we got right there? I think we have a few ones we can think about. It's not clicking. It's going to click. Oh, Jim Harbaugh, he quarterbacked the Indianapolis Colts. If the 41ers beat the Giants, Jim Harbaugh's back at Indianapolis. He's the former Colts quarterback. Oh, you see, we could have a Zach or whoever predicting the 41ers to beat the Giants back in the day because of a PSYOP script like that. For example, that's a perfect example of a psychological operation. Jim Harbaugh did not play in the Super Bowl at Indianapolis against the Patriots. That team was Eli Manning and the New York Giants. I do not forget seeing how pissed off Peyton Manning was before and after Super Bowl 44. He was not happy that the game was rigged. Brian Tooley, in his website The Fix Is In, writer of the book The Fix Is In, he even observed Peyton Manning's body language before the kickoff was very, very bad. And some say that Cam Newton has emulated the body language of Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 44 before and during Super Bowl 60. In his post-game interview, Cam Newton, he was imploding on the inside. He couldn't keep it together to keep a poker face, to be a good actor. He was not in the mood to answer any questions. He knew he was involved in a rigged football game, Cam Newton. You paid millions of dollars to do whatever the hell the NFL tells you they want you to do. It is a script. This is what it is. And the premise of the Super Bowl history spread doc is to show what works and what does not work. And the key numbers for Super Bowl 50 that we had to pay attention to was 28, 91, 76, 75. Those were the big ones. And 79. A series of five numbers that resonated the most when looking at the spread doc, and which teams have those same numbers, which quarterbacks have the same numbers. Even though Baker's heavily coded with the Super Bowl, you have to wait until next year. I'd be happy, and this is where the Bucks losing the Super Bowl is going to come into the equation of they won a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. All right, and maybe it's the Bucks organization. They have to lose the Super Bowl if they make the Super Bowl because it makes Tom Brady winning look better if you have Baker go in there and lose because he's not Tom Brady. So that is the sacrifice that's going to work against the Bucks if they make it to Super Bowl 60 or Super Bowl 61. The Packers just seem so heavily coded to be a big perpetual disappointment year in and year out. Bart Starr's death, and the Packers win their 14th championship, 14 Super Bowls after the death of Bart Starr after Super Bowl 53. So I am putting that theory to the test. And Las Vegas is happy that people are betting on the Packers. And so that's why the Packers are not going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. They're going to fail in the playoffs during the next few years. Bart Starr played in the Super Bowl in the year '67, the first Super Bowl. Just thinking about it, Colts equals 69. They played in Super Bowl 3 and Super Bowl 69, didn't they? Can't wait to get that spreadsheet down all the way down to Super Bowl 3 and Super Bowl 1, the very beginnings of all beginnings of the Super Bowl championship. Giants equals 25. I think they beat the Bills in Super Bowl 25. The missing kick by Scott Norwood. I would like to decode Scott Norwood in relation to when the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. Scott is, I think, is Gematria 14. Wide right. I'll get into wide right. Scott is 14. LA is 14. It's next year. Scott Noah, he should get a Super Bowl ring if the Bills win the Super Bowl during the next 2 years. Scott Norwood deserves a ring. We must move on from the wide right miss. Norwood has LA Gematria. I got news for you. The Bills are cooked this year. They're not going to make it until next year. It's no guarantee they get the number one seed, but the Bills are not going to win the Super Bowl until next season. How could you win the Super Bowl without the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs? Well, NFL just had other ideas. We're going to take advantage of the ticket demand for the new stadium and the fact that we still haven't won the Super Bowl yet. So it's all manipulation, I think, for the Buffalo Bills. I've been telling you for years they're not going to win the Super Bowl until they move into the stadium. Lamar won the Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't think Lamar's going to beat this guy. Something like that for next playoffs. I think the Chiefs must miss the playoffs. The NFL, there's a lot of outrage with, we're rigging the games for Kansas City. You're just going to give it all to Kansas City, this and that. Now, the Patriots did have a year where everything was going a little, well, it wasn't going all off. It was just Tony Sperano and the Wildcat offense was just 2008. The Patriots missed the playoffs with an 11-5 record. And Brady had a torn ACL, and they were winning games with Matt Castle. So if anyone say Belichick only good because of Brady, this is all BS. They went 11-5 with Matt Castle. They still won games during the Deflategate suspension. Brady didn't do anything in Super Bowl 53. It was Belichick's defense. So people like to throw shade at Belichick, but he's still a really good coach. Brady, he didn't do it all alone. Now, both guys needed each other. Belichick did need a great quarterback to win, but Tom Brady also needed a great defense to win in a great coach who preaches fundamentals. The Patriots really fumbled the ball. Belichick, he came from a military family. He was all very obsessive over these minor details, such as the way how you hold the football. So their success was dependent on each other. You had Bill Belichick, but you had Bruce Arians, who 9-1 Cardinals. Carson Palmer is an MVP because of Bruce Arians. They were 9-1. They went 10-6. They went 11-5. Palmer got the injury. They started 9-1. Both their quarterbacks got hurt. How many games did they win? 13 in 2015 or something like that. 12-4, 13-3. So you already had a great coach in Arians. And And Tampa Bay, you had a great defense. Devontae David, you have Jason Pierre-Paul. You've got playmakers all over the place. It was like Tom Brady didn't have to throw many passing yards during the playoffs in 2020, 2021 because he had a, or the, yeah, the 2020, 2021 because he had a great team around him. He didn't do it by himself. He went into a very good team that they still finished 7-9 without him. They had Winston throwing the picks. To the credit of Tom Brady, he doesn't throw the interceptions. He makes good decisions. He studies well, but team was always good, even without Tom Brady. They were in a playoff race the year before. But now it's looking like Joe Burrow may never win the Super Bowl because he's cursed on a bad team. But we've got 3 months to see where the jury is is and I think I'll be live during the Cardinals 49ers game. Bengals will be much of the discussion if they are 3-0, then suddenly, oh, if they really do go 500, if they beat the Jets, if they beat uh, which other teams on the schedule that are pretty bad that the Bengals are playing that they can win with a quarterback who's not afraid to sling it. Jake Browning, he already beat the Vikings 2 years ago as a backup, and they were down 14 points in that game, and they came back and won. And the Vikings cut him too. They cut Jake Browning, so he's got that dog in him. He's got that swagger in him. Obviously, Lions will get an easy win against the Bengals. The Bengals will lose against Green Bay. Mike Tomlin prepares to fail. Mike Tomlin failed. He fails to prepare his teams against teams that they should beat. Like last year, Mike Tomlin lost against the Browns. Like he has a tendency for his teams to lose focus against teams that they should beat. So Mike Tomlin has a history of that garbage. This is why the Steeler fan base wants him to be fired. But the Bengals, you're gonna beat a team like the Jets. Caleb is garbage, and the Bears are garbage. You should beat the Bears. You can beat the Vikings. You can beat a team like the Patriots. They're nothing special. You'll get a surprise win against the Steelers. You're in the playoff race. The Dolphins are taking for a number one pick. Kyler's garbage. He's not Joe Burrow. You're going to beat my Cardinals. You're playing the Cleveland Clowns in week 17 or week 18. But much of this is going to depend on if they're able to beat the Vikings. They can just stay around 500, wait for Joe Burrow to come back. Your defense is supposed to carry the team. The defense is supposed to actually step up and be better. So this is where I do like the ability of the Cincinnati Bengals to have to shoulder the load, to actually carry the team. We'll see how Carson Wentz is. They lost 38-0, but honestly, he backups were playing in that Week 18 game last year. So I'm not gonna be too harsh on um, Carson Wentz because of the fact that they were just resting everybody, literally, and Wentz didn't have much of a team on the field during that one start last year. If the Lions are 1-2, it's not gonna be a bad thing. Now, if they lose by 13 or 14 or something like that against the Ravens, then yeah, clearly they've taken a step back. But if they lose by one possession against a Super Bowl team, that's not really the end of the world. If the Lions lose by one possession, it's a hard fought game. You're on the road and, some things go away, whatever, some minor details where you lose by a possession. And now, definitely the Lions are cooked if they go out and play like they did. I don't like saying like how they played against Green Bay because um, they had a pick six that just got overturned because of a penalty, and they've shown the ability to come back in their 52 demolition. Their ability to score 50 points hasn't gone away because Ben Johnson left. Jared Goff is Jared Goff. It's when a team like the Lions has to replace coordinators, they stick internally and you stick with the same system. Like when Todd Bowles left the Cardinals after uh, 20, 2014 when we went 9-1. I mean, what did the Cardinals do? They didn't choose a new defense or a new coordinator outside the organization. Todd Bowles became the Jets coach. James Betcher, the linebackers coach, became the defensive coordinator. They kept the same 3-4 system, and Cardinals were still, they shut out the Giants. They were still holding teams to low point totals, getting lots of sacks. So I like how the Lions have gone internally inside the organization. They can keep the same systems running in place. You have a guy like Goff that's played lots of playoff games, that's won the NFC, that's been to the Super Bowl. You're good. You're gonna be good. He was good in that Seattle playoff game, even before they ultimately decided to trade him to the Lions, and they got Jared Goff. I know Lions owed a Super Bowl appearance. And as long as the defense stays healthy, as long as Hutchinson is there, Lions going to be in the dance. They're going to be in the conversation. Las Vegas ultimately played the biggest role in whether the Lions are going to make it to the Super Bowl. Too much money was bet on the Lions last year. Moral of the story: they had the injuries. Were they fake injuries? I don't know. Were they real injuries? Maybe they were real injuries. Maybe they were not. Guys didn't want to rig games. They sat out because of injury. Oh my God. And now this whole bubble is a very big bubble. Were they actually hurt or were they actually sitting out because we didn't want to rig the games? Maybe Drew Stanton didn't want to rig the game. And they faked his injury and they went with Ryan Lindley because Cardinals were hosting the Super Bowl. And all these things that happened to that team, they were not coincidental. I witnessed a fake injury to Carson Palmer. It was non-contact. It was a fake injury because they're hosting the Super Bowl. Carson Palmer did not want to rig the season for the team. And that's what happened. They paid him back, even if it was with the NFC Championship game appearance. They paid him back with the NFC Championship game appearance, but the Panthers were the main script for Super Bowl 50. Now, if this team is 3-0, don't start barking that this team is going to suddenly make it to the Super Bowl and the Cardinals are going to be in the Super Bowl. This team has zero chance of making the Super Bowl with that midget quarterback. This team could be 4-0 in 6 days from now, but you have everything except for a quarterback. I think Burrow would have a better offensive line here in Arizona than Cardinals. They should have had Baker Mayfield. This is the team's biggest mistake is they should have had Baker Mayfield. This drive annoys me right there. He should have been 21-7, these stupid dumb fucks. Stupid as garbage Buffalo team. You are trash. How do you miss that field? How do you take that? How do you just decide to self sabotage? If the Bengals lose against the Vikings, I'll completely dump him, and we'll just go ahead and say that this is the year Lamar's going to do it. And if Lamar doesn't win, then we still win because we know the NFL is racist. How are they racist? Oh, Saquon Barkley gets all the credit because he almost broke the single season rushing record. Jalen Hurts only had a great running back. That's why he won the Super Bowl. It's a white supremacist ritual. He wins the Super Bowl, but Saquon gets all the credit. You see how they do it? You see why the majority of NFL owners donate to the Republican Party. They believe in their racist ideology. They believe in their white supremacy. Mike Brown's a Republican. Jeffrey Lurie actually is a Democrat, and he won the Super Bowl last year. The Hunt family, they're Republicans. Could they script the Burrow Messiah moment? They could. They could lose against Baltimore, and I'm completely unwavered until I see how he handles the Dolphins and the Cardinals and the Cleveland Clowns. Yeah, I'm giving this guy a chance. I should spend an hour watching that 52-minute video that I recorded. I should be watching every month in October, in November, in December. The win totals are going to mean something. Now you have to do the acronym for the host of the game. So, uh, you see SF equals 25, and that's Ravens and that's Tampa Bay. Now, 25 is also Ford Field. The Lions play at Ford Field. They're owned by the Ford family. We need to really emphasize acronyms a lot because New England, NE equals 10. They won the Super Bowl 10 years after Super Bowl 39. NE equals 35. 35 previous Super Bowls. NE won Super Bowl 36. NE equals 19. They were going for 19-0. They failed to go 19-0. Will we see a team go a perfect 20-0? I'll have to go through all the acronyms. Every single acronym we could think about. A 20-0 season. Is that in the cards at all in the next 1,000 years of the Super Bowl? That is a great question. That helmet catch was dope. David Tyree, Rodney Harrison, hard-hitting safety. Are the Dolphins going 0-17? Asks Joshua Hilton. If you go off of their performance against Buffalo, a team that's 0-3 is not a sure win, even against the Jets in week 4. Two is always a risk to get injured too. That's always a risky game to try to bet on if you want to automatically assume the Dolphins are going to show up in week 4. What if the Bills just let up and they didn't want to get injured this game? Well, they had a couple injuries, I think, in the game. This team annoys me, man. They annoy. And by no means am I counting out the Bengals. But if you want to be realistic and practical, then this is a year that Lamar Jackson can win the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to completely count out the Bills, but I think they're winning in the year that they move to a new stadium. So Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow for me, and I think there's value in both the Bucks and the Lions and NFC. Well, what can go wrong with that? What can go wrong with that? If the Lions are 1-2, what are the Bucks odds to win the NFC? You go straight up killer on them guys if they don't make it this year. But next year the Bucks gonna make it because you get ready for next year too. It ain't stopping until this year. It's about next year too. Most people are going to bet on the Packers, so obviously the Bucks are going to have great value. Tampa Bay's 10-1 to win the conference against the 49ers and the Los Angeles Lambs? You gotta be kidding. Baker is that dude. If he don't do it, Baker will make Super Bowl 61. My guy Jalen over there in Washington gonna make it to Super Bowl 63. We got some hardcore playmakers here who can play in the Super Bowl during the next couple of years. Buffalo Bills minus 150. LA Chargers plus 550. Chargers will play in a. They'll win a playoff game this year, the LA Chargers. I think they will. Jim Harbaugh's won plenty of playoff games with the San Francisco 49ers. I get the double code angle of Gematria. I completely get it. But from the angle, is that the Bucks are the 7th pick. I mean, I love the Seahawks 49ers angle a lot. They weren't just going to break the Seahawks' hearts, and the 49ers were playing another Super Bowl. Well, they did the previous season, but then the Seahawks made it to the Super Bowl. I just, even if the Lions go on the road, I think they can do it. I think they can do it.
Sunday ticket for 8 payments of only $34.50 per month.
Okay, if you lose against the Packers and the Ravens, it's not the end of the world. If you lose against the Lions or someone like that, then yeah, you've got problems. I get it. The double code angle of Gematria is pretty annoying. I know a lot of things line up with Tampa Bay this year, but they gave this guy, Dan Campbell, a 5-year contract. The Lions make it to the Super Bowl, they had their hearts ripped out at the last second of the game. They really got fucked because 15 to 16 players on defense got injured last year. They have to do it the hard way. They will. If anyone can roar their way to a Super Bowl appearance, maybe the Detroit Lions. They know how to overcome adversity the way that they chose the NFC Championship game, lose a playoff game like that, but then you destroy the Chicago Bears, and it's week one, and shit happens or whatever. Lions gonna win lots of games this year. In no way should anyone count out the Detroit Lions. San Francisco Bay, all that come on, shit lines up with Detroit. I would love to see this guy's interception at the end of the game. I thought he sold the Patriots game with that interception. I want to see the play to the interception and see what was going on with Tua. Did he sell this game like he did last week? Is he playing for his coach anymore? They're putting on a good acting show to cover the spread or help ratings, help Amazon, and then when you reach the end of the game and the desired conclusion, you throw a stupid pick. What was it? A stupid pick that Tua threw this game? Amazon invests money in the NFL. They don't want the game to be a big blowout, So that's what happened with this game. I see a guy named Gordon. The only guy I can think about is Melvin Gordon. Okay, well he played with the Broncos. Melvin Gordon. Oh, he played with the. He was on the Chargers. He played with the Denver Donkeys. Okay, and he was right out of the league. I have to upload the video. 52-minute video. I should really rewatch it. Have great focus. Maybe what was the stuff I was lining up right there that keeps you awake the whole night? I mean, what the hell was that stuff? I forgot. That was good stuff. I miss having that stuff with my roommate. Lions are gonna beat Kansas City Chiefs. This is like 3rd and 10. They really get a first. He doesn't even try to sack him. Like, you're being an actor. He doesn't even try to sack him. God, this shit is fake. He could have easily sacked you if you wanted to. Oh, you saw the replay on the wide receiver. You should have seen the replay on the pass rusher right there. Talk about a slapdick performance. How about the Cardinals 27-3 and they don't even cover the spread? What a slapdick performance. This shit's rigged by Las Vegas. Bill Bidwell, the Bidwell family, they were horse track ranked owners too. So they were part of the fixed game for Las Vegas. Thank God I chose not to bet on week 2. Charlie Kirk is having his remembrance on September 21st. Maybe Cardinals do win. Maybe you suck if you bet on the 49ers. I hope the right wing, the lunatic owners right there give us the game on Sunday.
This ship collected specimens from distant planets.
NFL's rigged. They'll rig the game for the Cardinals, and Charlie Kirk is having his moment of observance on September 21st, and this guy's a right wing bigot.
Now we gotta go help people.
This guy was telling Taylor Swift, "You must submit to your husband." This guy is a misogynist bigot. He was against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Imagine saying that to the face of any black man or any black woman out there. It is not to be celebrated that a mother and her 2 children are without their father. We're not celebrating that. But is this guy a martyr? Is he a good Christian? Hell no. We're not celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. But is he a martyr and is he a good Christian family man? Hell no. Good Christians don't want to be racist against other people with different color, different skin tones. That's hypocritical behavior. You're all equal in the eyes of God according to the Lord himself. This right-wing ideology right there, it is unlike Christ. It's not some right-wing martyr. Okay, one of my middle high school friends, he was calling this guy a martyr. Is he a racist? Well, his wife is Latina, but he calls him a martyr. I mean, don't you even read up what the guy, he was offering to bail out anybody who beat up Paul Pelosi. No, he didn't offer to limit the amount of political discourse in America. Charlie Kirk inflamed political discourse. So why do we want to observe this guy's death? And he was not the only guy who died on that day. There was a kid in a Colorado high school who died, but does the NFL observe that student's death? And why not observe both guys' deaths? You observe Charlie Kirk's death, but the guy who got shot in a school on the very same day that Charlie Kirk died, why didn't the NFL take a moment to observe that high school student's death? Because Donald Trump said, it's another day, it's another death, whatever. These students don't matter, it doesn't matter. Only when it's one of us right-wing extremists so we really care about it. You see, and they didn't say anything about Melissa Hartman's death either. They didn't raise the flags down for the death of a government legislature, for crying out loud. These right-wing fanatics, they don't try to bring the entire country together. They're all twisted in their ideology, and then they want to divide America based on political ideology. Donald Trump is the wrong man to lead America. We need a Republican president that will denounce political violence on both sides, who will not just start inflaming the rhetoric by saying that it's the left that's killing everybody, even though, according to the National Archives, it's the right wing that has the most shooters as a result of political violence from their own government studies, and they erase these findings from the government's website. Charlie Kirk is no martyr. He didn't try to bring people together. He tried to inflame the seeds of division on the left. He was a racist misogynist who told Taylor Swift that she must succumb to her husband. You must submit to the mail. You must submit and do whatever Travis Kelsey tells you to do. Charlie Kirk is not a good man. Travis Kelsey should have respect for his wife and her independent thoughts and decision making. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean she should automatically submit to Travis Kelsey. I do have a problem with that, Charlie Kirk, in the 21st century, and I'm not celebrating the fact that your children are without their father. They should have you. They should have you with them. This is not to be celebrated whatsoever. We're making that point very clear. This guy who shot Charlie Kirk, what the motherfucking hell did Charlie Kirk ever do to you? Nothing. Charlie Kirk, he did nothing to you. The shooter. This guy could have shot a congressman or a congresswoman who voted to cut Medicare, Medicaid, snap, reduce energy sources, raise the cost of energy. That's what this big, beautiful disaster bill did while America was distracted on the 4th of July. Okay? You could have had legitimate concern with legitimate sources of authority like Luigi Mangione. These healthcare executives, they deny legitimate claims in order to increase the profits of the corrupt healthcare industry. Luigi Mangione, the death of that CEO was justified. What the hell's gonna motherfucking change if you don't go out and make shit happen? And in fact, that makes the CEO a murderer. He murdered people because we gotta save our profits and we gotta reject legitimate claims. It's only people that are brainwashed by right-wing propaganda that think we have a great healthcare system. We don't have a great healthcare system. We prioritize profit over people. Profit over people. You know, we should be on the same page with all these issues. But instead, the right wing wants to divide white man against Latino and black, even though, regardless of race, and you in the same income level, you should be united for the same causes together. And this is the fact that the multi-millionaire, billionaire class are openly raping you. BlackRock and all these people are buying up all the homes. There's a lack of available homes in America. It's not the brown person coming from Mexico that wants to have a good life. For God forbid he can't speak English, but he's trying to better his economic situation. How is he the enemy of the people? It seems like most of these mass shootings in America are caused by white men. But just because he's brown jumping over the border, he's more of a violent threat to America! Police! There is a Philadelphia or Pennsylvania law enforcement responders got shot by a white male. What? These white men shooting people, I swear. I bet there are more instances of crime committed by white men shooting up people than immigrants coming over and they cause it. All these anecdotal stories are just propaganda. But what is the rate of crime from people who jump the border? You gotta ignore the crime. The crime level, by the way, is down overall. based off of the findings of the own FBI. But the media loves to scare you with fear that these brown people coming over are not looking for a way to escape political violence in their own country, or they're not able to return to their family because there are gangs running their cities, and if they return to their family, they get shot and killed, and they have to come over here and seek political asylum. So it is not a it is not a just straight grade A issue. It's a very gray matter. And people love to blame the Democrats for the inflation. Well, this has been affecting governments across the world, the post COVID economy. And a conservative government in Great Britain got voted out by their Labour Party. So governments will get blamed for factors out of their control because of the post COVID price gouging by corporations. But it was a right wing conservative government that held power for 14 years in England that got voted out, and they voted in the left wing. So it's not the left wing is spending lots of money doing the inflation. The issue is more broad and complex than what's been presented by right wing commentators. You know, we are partaking in bread and circuses, the bread and circuses of ancient Rome. Okay, if we're debasing the currency, if there's not enough bread or whatever coming over from the countries in Africa, coming over to ancient Rome, we can distract these people with these bread and circuses, and distract them with football and college football and the baseball World Series and all of that. They will not be aware of what's happening in their own government. And that's where the premise of bread and circuses comes from. It originated from ancient Rome. You're celebrating, oh, I'm free on the 4th of July, and the next thing you know, they're voting to cut your SNAP and Medicare on the 4th of July. But oh, I'm free on the 4th of July. We've got to buy welcome in the land of free. Far from free. Jimmy Kimmel, he was not fired by ABC. He was canned by the government. The First Amendment, the right to freedom of expression, and the right of organizations to make the decisions on the firing and keeping of individuals. But that decision was not up to Disney, aka ABC. The government threatened ABC by getting rid of their broadcasting license if they didn't get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. So we have a mafia government that exists in Russia, in many parts of the world, that is actively coercing news organizations to fire these people that he didn't say anything bad about Christian Kirk. Jimmy Kimmel just basically said that, hey, Donald Trump didn't even observe that Charlie Kirk died. He's a wide receiver on the Cardinals, Christian Kirk. So I'm getting the name Christian and Charlie uh, mixed up. But Cardinals obviously an upset pick because of the observance of Charlie Kirk, and he's from Arizona, and Arizona could win. So that is where all the rumors come, with Arizona win the rigged football game on Sunday. And I'm San Francisco left wing, and I pay respect to Eric Armwider. Okay, anybody who says that the Civil Rights Act it should not even exist. It's like, what kind of good person could hold a view such as that? Should everybody all have civil rights? It seems pretty messed up. I mean, read the room. The Civil Rights Act should exist. Taylor Swift should submit to her husband. You know, the male should dominate over the woman's thoughts and independent decision making. There's some misogynist BS that existed like 4 or 5 decades ago before they're able to apply for a credit card or any of that stuff. Charlie Kirk is no minor. These Christians who believe the world is 3,000 years ago, they're fucking retarded. I don't give a damn. The beliefs of Christianity should be current in level with the evolving views of science. This is the view that the Jesuits have in the Catholic Church, that Christian doctrine should reflect what has been proven by science. That it's proven that the Earth is 3,000 years ago, and Homo sapiens have lived for 100,000 years. No, the Earth is not 3,000 years of age. Evangelicals are lunatics, at least the Catholic Church, and holds a more open view to science than these crazy lunatic Donald Trump supporting evangelicals that think that the Earth is 3,000 years, despite the lack of evidence that the Earth is only 3,000 years of age. The Homo sapiens have lived longer than 3,000 years. But those are the people that are running for political office who think we should ban the vaccines. Okay, who can go against science and vaccines? A vaccine's not going to kill you. I don't get smallpox. I don't get polio because I have vaccines against this kind of stuff. It's like they're distracting you with bullshit, basically, is what they're doing. I don't have to ever worry about dying from polio and smallpox because I am vaccinated against these diseases. Now, I don't need a booster every year for COVID, but I've got the COVID shot. I've got one booster. I don't need to get my body's already immunized against COVID. So I don't really believe I need a booster every single holiday season because my antibodies already have. They know the COVID. They know the virus. There's no need to get a booster every single year. So that is not a concern really. Screw this Thursday night game. The Bills are not ready to win the Super Bowl. You're a team that's beaten up 0-2. You want to whip their ass and just send him down to submission. Is this guy high? I want to know if he's high.
So far, so good. With meaningless, we got another half. We have a lot of football to play and a lot of execution.
What is the priority for your defense?
You're playing one of the best players in the league. You got to be disciplined. You got to make him earn every yard. And if you not, to take it away, you got to take it down.
Dude, you suck. You're high during your fucking press conference, bro. I'm not against stabbing at all, but wait until after the fucking press conference, bro. You're a fucking addict.
I like to see this. Just to start.
How many times does he say during his post-game conference? Okay, when I rip a hit off the dad pen, I am saying every other. I have to think about what I have to say before I actually say it. That's basically what Mike McDaniel is. Basically, I need to be sure that what I'm saying is what I want to say. That is actually what I want to say. And when I rip the shit off the dap pad, basically. This is the guy that you want to represent your organization, Stephen Ross. He can't even wait till after the, the post game conference to rip it off the dap pan. Come on, man! Pay me millions to be a coach. I'll let it rip during the nighttime. I'll think of a great elusive play call that I wouldn't have thought of without the dap pan.
Protected well, throws, caught, first down, lot more.
Well, because you see the dap pan, creativity. They just come out with and all these hypotheticals and everything. 52 minutes of hypotheticals. We present all the possibilities, but many hypothetical. What's the betting angle? What's the betting angle? Really? I think this is a hit or miss year. Bills make it to the Super Bowl and they win it, or they fail again. There's no it's 50-50. There's no in between. There's no other. It's either a hit or miss for the Bills. Allen sucks. I mean, you're terrible. You think Tom Brady would let this team hang around until the fourth quarter? Man, you're a joke. You're a joke. You're a fucking joke. Bills are going to win Super Bowl 61. Kiss my fucking ass. I could give it $2 if the Bengals win the Super Bowl or not. The two teams I identify that can win the Super Bowl, those are two other fucking teams that are going to win it.
New users can now get NFL Sunday Ticket for 8 payments of only $34.50 per
Man, the
month.
Bills are trash. Bills are trash. I must find the 17 connections for Josh Allen. For Super Bowl 60 or Super Bowl 61, it doesn't matter. I must find the connections. The first playoff berth in 17 years, one division and one Super Bowl title, 7 divisional titles. So that's next year. Fuck Joe Burrow. The Bengals fuck you over, mate. Go Ravens. Go Ravens and go Bengals. That's like that. It should be embarrassing a team like this. They within a possession of your team. I don't care about the late game field goal. Really cry for the Bengals. And Joe Burrow comes back. Let's go. No pain, no gain, brother. If Ravens win, if they lose, who cares? If the Bengals win or lose, who cares? Might as well let Joe Burrow prove how much of a badass he really is. If he knows, it's it. If Lamar, come over and take over the show, I don't give a damn. One of these two guys that take over the show. This team right there is choke. They're god awful. How do you not destroy them by 13 points? I gotta see that Tua pick though. That pick, did he sell it there like last week? I can't remember if the missed field goal and all that. Did I miss it? I forgot. Not everything they write sucks nowadays. I think they still got him. Obviously, nowhere near the original ones. Isn't that heavy ass shit? It doesn't have to be their old stuff in the 80s. This is heavy. It's a rock. Heavy metal. Let's go. Let's go. As they say, metal up your ass. But we can't call it metal up your ass. You gotta call it just killing it. Oh, you're not wearing a shirt. It's September. It's September. How the Bills don't cover this spread? The harmonics of those riffs, I swear to God, man, that's the best part about that song. You know, they call Dan Campbell Dan Metallica. Imagine Metallica from the Bay Area and Dan Metallica is in the motherfucking Super Bowl. Imagine that. Mamma mia. Dan Metallica. They should be playing the Super Bowl off the Bay. Whoever is performing the Super Bowl, I don't know. I can't. We have these guys at the Super Bowl. Heavy metal. Let's go. How did the Bills don't blow out that faggot ass team from Miami by minus 11? Oh, screw you guys. You're not winning the Super Bowl this year. You're not winning. You are not winning. You guys are awful. They had to get on a plane, the travel. What are you guys doing? Ah, screw the kicker. He missed the field goal. Just screw you. God, you garbage Buffalo Bills. Oh, the CWE is all the why don't you like the Bills? I'm not biased against Buffalo, am I? I'm pretty spot on about Buffalo. They're going to beat the Ravens and lose against the Chiefs, and that's exactly what I predicted. They're going to lose against the Chiefs, and they did. You could have murdered this guy who hits off of a dab pen, and he doesn't wait until after the press conference and he's in the film room, and people don't see that he's high. I mean, this guy's an addict. I don't feel the need to hit off a dab pen every day. I love dabs, but I'm not addicted to dabs. I don't need to hit a dab pen every day. I may have over indulgencies where I do too much. I drink too much of a bottle, but I'm not drinking every day. The furthest thing from drinking every day. I mean, Mike McDaniel apparently was involved with alcohol in the past, but he's replacing it with dab pens. People, and now, and if you actually smoke weed, then yeah, you're going to age pretty quickly when you smoke. Hash oil, I recommend because, you're not smoking the smoke of the weed, and therefore you're not gonna have that wrinkly sagging skin if you're smoking weed every day. If you're hitting off of the dab pen, then that's gonna help you. You're not smoking the weed, the cigarette smoke of the weed. When you take the ash oil instead, you're not bringing in the smoke. And when I did weed, it was mostly hash oil, the good stuff, mostly the pure THC. My tolerance for that stuff, it was very, very high back in the day. Me, Mauricio Sorry, smoking the cigarette, whatever. I'm hitting off of the pen. Y'all see Big Ball of T right there. You see it hit off of the G pad. And I am a big proponent of fostering creativity. That G pen is key for that. Let people live be, and what does it concern you if somebody else is hitting off the dab pen, and you just want the government to tell them that they can't hit off of a dab pen? Obviously, we're talking about the armpits of America that would rather have their fascist language spoken. So your Tennessees and Oklahomas, Alabamas that want to be bigots, which states can they not even smoke weed? Because I'm from the West Coast, and then people coming over from California, and then your very liberal-minded places in the East Coast, they are about letting people live, and it doesn't matter if you're pro or against weed. It's just about letting people live. And so these people are about freedom, and the left is about freedom, you see, because the weed bowl, Colorado lost in the first state to legalize weed. They were in the Super Bowl in 2014, you see. And this is just about freedom, and it's not about, oh, I hate you who smoke weed. They're about the freedom that the government shouldn't decide who smoked the weed. You understand? And it took us in Arizona until 2020 to legalize weed. It shouldn't have taken until 2020 to legalize weed in Arizona. Legalizing weed would make people more peaceful, and they are not shooting up schools. Only good things come out of the plant. The private prison lobby and industry, they want to lock people up for anything. They're the biggest threat of freedom that you ever see out there today. They're the biggest reason why, the Christian right wing in the private prison industry is why weed has been demonized throughout. Well, at least it goes as far back as Richard Nixon in the 1970s, but that they still demonize weed for the better part of the 21st century throughout the past 10, 15 or so years. But, even though we're getting more liberal as far as our approach to weed, boomers still live amongst us. We got to move on from the boomers, so to speak, that they've been too propagandized by the media, and they don't understand the literacy of the brainwashing of the media, like us people. We're not a part of the boomer generation. We understand that mainstream media propaganda, and we don't listen to the MSN and the CNN. Well, as long as Andrews doesn't drop the pass or Lamar fumbles or any of that, then I agree with that. But Joe Burrow is fought because he plays for a garbage organization, and Baltimore is a better organization than Cincinnati. Then Lamar Jackson must be expected to win the Super Bowl at all costs. There's no Patrick Mahomes. You have to win the Super Bowl. Imagine Lamar wins first over Josh Allen. Imagine the flack from the media. That'd be a shaming ritual if he does win the championship. Lamar Jackson is shown the championship caliber ability of Lamar Jackson. There's no Burrow. There's no Mahomes. If you're Lamar, you have to win the Super Bowl. You have to win. You have to win. The Bills always choke. They cannot win the Super Bowl until you see he has to beat the Chiefs. Most of the Buffalo coding favors Super Bowl 61. Some of it does exist for Super Bowl 60, but at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson dominated at the Santa Clara on Christmas against the 49ers in Fraud 30 a couple years ago. And Lamar and Burrow is not able to satisfy the J.D. Vance script. He's a Bengals fan. He's the shadow president. Joe Burrow's the shadow Super Bowl winning quarterback. If it's not him, it's Lamar Jackson. And I stand by Lamar Jackson winning the Super Bowl if it's not Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow fails to make it to the postseason, great. If Joe Burrow makes it to the playoffs, then we have to pay attention to this guy. You have to pay attention to the guy. Yikes. How did this guy, after saying that to win the game, you have to win the game, and he only beats his team by 10 points? Jesus Christ. All you need is 3 more points. The kickers are awful. And the third and long defense was terrible for Buffalo. This team is a joke. This team is a joke. Buffalo's a joke. They're a joke. Let's move on with this Buffalo Bills team right after they move into the new stadium. Their right wing owners, you never know if they want to make Joe Burrow out to be like some messiah martyr like Christian Charlie Kirk or whatever. This right wing bigots is about. Screw him. If you want people to mourn you, then be a good human being during your lifetime. Why should black people mourn Christian Kirk, Charlie Kirk? He was against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Why should he go out and try to cancel these black people? Because America is all about racism. And this current regime is all about racism. And we are not about bringing people together. We're about dividing them because of race. And that's what the right wing has done in this country. They made it clear they wanted to have a higher complexion of white people in America. They're against the brown people coming over. They must demonize them for their crimes, even though they commit crime at a less rate than Native Americans, Native people born in this country. I'm so done with this right-wing propaganda. I'm so done with the tax breaks for the billionaires, the gutting of the Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, it's the same playbook that they do every election cycle. Tax Cuts Act, American Job Creation Act of 2003, and then your Tax Cut Job Act of 2017. Same playbook for the right wing. It doesn't change at it's the same pattern that it works over and over again. Biden would have been reelected if it wasn't some COVID price gouging corporations disrupting the economy. I swear to God, they focus their anger on Biden. It's the corporations that are trying to remake what they lost in lost profit. We have our priorities mixed up. And I'm about done with this. I'm done with hacks like Stephen A. Smith that start speaking about politics. It's not about politics. But Stephen A's a right winger, and he'd be talking about politics. Enough with you charlatans. You all about the politics as long as it's about your side. That's what you about, Stephen A. Smith. You sell out to your community. And you go out and show for the Republican Party, who's racist against black people at every corner. And you have your Charlie Kirk out there, who's about, let's get rid of the Civil Rights Act. You should be ashamed of yourself, Screaming A. Smith. He works for Disney, ha ha ha, liberal media. But how left is Disney really? They love catering to their right-wing audience. They're not the all-right leftist organization that these Republican charlatans out there make them out to be, right? Nope. FCC, let's cancel you, Jimmy Kimmel. Let's cancel you unless you give money to Kirk's family. That's extortion under the law. Okay, this right wing has never been about the Constitution whatsoever. All they've been about is dominating their viewpoint. That's all that they've been about. They're not about a free and open, independent, thinking society that's spreading, these myriad of individual viewpoints from all walks of life. That's what the right wing is about. They are about a fascist government, or it's about the right wing viewpoint. I'm so done with these people, man. I'm so done with them. America's done with Donald Trump. His approval ratings are actually under 40, but the lying, corrupt, garbage mainstream media only reports it as 42% approve Donald Trump. That's more like under 40%. Trump didn't win the election. Elon Musk admitted that without his help, he wouldn't have won. So enough of that loser Donald Trump. The right wing has all the choice in the world if they want a different voice or they're in a brainwashed, retarded cult where only Trump matters. Now, you're the enemy if that is the case. If you're about bringing people together like George Bush under 9/11, and he was no saint either, George Bush. He was a war criminal. But you must bring Republicans and Democrats together. And this is what this Trumpian right wing doesn't produce, is they want to demonize the left. They're responsible for all the political violence. But January the 6th happened, the Republicans. Charlie Kirk said, let's bail out the guy who beat up Paul Pelosi. Oh, what a very Christian guy Charlie Kirk is. It's called being politically incorrect. You're not supposed to celebrate his death. No one wants to celebrate a mother and two kids being without their father. But you're not supposed to mourn a guy who was racist against black people, who was against the Civil Rights Act in 1964. That's the point we're getting about. We're not celebrating his death, but we're talking from the viewpoint that these right-wing fundamentalist Christians out there want to say that he's some martyr who died because it's free speech. Oh, give me a fucking break. He was bigoted against gays and homosexuals and Mexicans and black people. He only wanted a white Christian country. E pluribus unum. Out of many people, we ask one. Is the premise of e pluribus unum. Out of many people, we are one people of the United States of America. Not every NFL stadium honored Christian Kirk. For good reason. Many black people in Detroit would have not been happy with that. So that's why the Lions were not a part of that. I'm very surprised that right-wing owner Paul Brown was not a part of the commemorating of Christian Kirk because of Charlie Kirk, because he's a pretty right-wing owner too, Paul Brown. So I was very surprised about that. I forgot about the other stadiums that didn't decide to honor him, but Michael Bidwell of the Cardinals, he's a pretty right-wing owner too. Most of these owners are pretty right-wing owners. They're part of the brand circus divide and conquer agenda. Most of these pro team owners are right-wingers. That is a fact. We just go off of the filings of their political donations to whichever party they donate to. Kendrick, right-winger, D-backs. Bidwell, right-winger, Cardinals. Right-winger, Bengals, right-winger, Chiefs, right-winger, Kroenke, Denver Broncos. Most of these pro owners are right-wing. They don't want you to know that they're cutting Medicare, Medicaid, and SNAP. It's not a coincidence that over 65% of political donations by the sports owners are Republican. Because this is a divide and conquer agenda. Let's brainwash the people with sports. With no idea that they're cutting their SNAP, their Medicare, Medicaid, that people in red states depend upon. You can agree or disagree with my politics, but my politics is right. Because Red states take in more than they contribute. Blue states contribute more than they take in. The all fair, clean Democrats are actually the red states. Uh, Maximiliano Romero, I agree. Let's go Argentina. Let's go. Long live the beast. Long live Baphomet. 4-4, four final losses, four major victories. All the Pinata lunatics out there. It's gonna be rough, right? Baphomet rules, right? Let's go, Messi. 4-4 major finals, Freemasons, balance. The scales and balance. Major finals, Copa America, World Cup. 3 Copa America losses, 1 World Cup loss, 2 World Cup wins, 2 Copa America victories. Ignore the BS. Football is meaningless in America because the season starts in February. You're playing meaningless football until August, September before the MLS playoffs in November, December. So Messi can rest all he wants before the World Cup. Messi chose Inter Miami, so he'll be closer to home. He'll have good Argentinian cuisine, and he is able to rest as much as he can before the World Cup. This is about giving his country the best position to repeat for the World Cup. And that's how I know that Messi is going to have a hell of an opportunity to deliver. I'd like the brother to do so. These guys, the guy who plays for AS Roma, Sue, what a guy, Sue. Who's the other great midfielder who's going to play for Argentina? Sue, who's the other guy? I'm forgetting the one other guy. A young Argentinian midfielder. There's Sue. There's another guy. Enzo Bicharcaria, whatever his name is. I'm forgetting somebody else. I don't think it's Matias Sue. It's another guy. I'm forgetting about that. A great Argentinian midfielder. It's not this one great young player. It's another one that's being developed by Argentina. I'm not talking about Garnacho. I'm talking about the midfield. The kid from Como, Nico Paz, mamma mia, Nico Paz, he should be playing for Albi Celeste in the World Cup. With Como in Argentina, Nico Paz is one of the rising stars of the game of football of calcio. Nico Paz has been scoring goals for Como over the past couple of years. He should be off the bench playing, starting Nico Paz. He should be on this roster with Matias Sule, and they give some good competition to Enzo Fernandez in that midfield. The Argentina are only getting stronger in the midfield. The Enzo Paz should be on this team. Enzo Barachivia, Matias Sule. These guys are great. And if anyone don't watch the Italian Serie A, these guys deserve a look. Inter made it to the final, defeated Bayern, and and Barca, and I have no love for Inter, but let's give Syria their props. Juventus 2017, 2019, Inter 2023, 2025. They don't have the money of the Premier League, blah, 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 of state-owned team of PSG. Um, Argentina are only getting better in the midfield, with or without Enzo Fernandez. So I think Alvarez is becoming a guy. He's only becoming a great veteran player. So this is a better stack team that they have in 2022, especially if you have Otamendi still balling around. Um, and um, and yeah, these guys are ready to go. I want to end right here. We're ready to go and win the back to back for the World Cup. Nobody ever heard of Matias Sule or Nico Paz or Enzo Barachivia. He used to be on Juventus. Juventus had those good Argentinian midfielders, but he got rid of them both. He should have kept Matias Sule. He should have kept Enzo Barachivia. You see, these guys are the future for Argentina. Nico Paz, Como. They're going to produce for them. We need these guys to step up for Messi to win the back to back. The midfield is very, very deep. It is very strong. Lautaro's here. Alvarez is becoming more of a strong player. We will win. We have a very strong chance of the back to back. If there's anybody that can win the back to back, it's Lionel Messi in Argentina, and even more talent at the disposal than there was 2 years or 4 years ago. I will close here. Have a good night. We'll see how the Argentina repeat does, and we'll see how the rest of the NFL does. So there's always something coming up. It's part of being a professional is there's always something coming up. You got to be ready for it. And so that's how I approach this gematria, numerology, whatever, sports decoding. There's always something coming up. And so got to keep the focus and keep the grind coming. And this is where we at right here. So have a good night.